Hello, hello, my friends. It's Isabella here, another episode of Legacy Leader here with my colleague from 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗃𝗲𝗿 that is joining me from Ireland. I hope you guys are doing well, and we look forward to your participation and joining us again for this epic discussion where we would love to hear your comments and thoughts. But before we deep dive in the topic around transformational trainings, because in order to be a transformational organization, right, Shay, you need to be able to do transformational learning, and learning happens
For sure.
if you have a transformational training, right?
You need transformational results from transformational training. It's as simple as that. So you got to close the cycle, Isabella. You can't just stop at training and tick the box. You need to do stuff with it.
That is so very true, and I love that we have a chance to have a deep dialogue around that. And for everybody that are watching and paying attention to what we're doing, because of our many friends and colleagues that are actually celebrating Eid in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, they are taking a little break, and our great friend is traveling from Berlin to Frankfurt for an amazing global conference representing his country in Bangladesh. So we're missing Arvind and wishing him amazing, tremendous success, right? Because he has some great opportunity not only to represent his country, but also to carry the flag and be part of the One Youth global organization. And that is huge. Definitely, guys, check that out. But also we're here with Hajar with us. Hi, Hajar. It's absolutely great to see you. I'm glad you were able to join us, and I look forward to some of your questions. And I wanted just to say Eid Mubarak to you. We're also having Mehmet that is able to join us as well. Thank you so much. Great to see you with us as well. Join us from Turkey, Mehmet, and Eid Mubarak to you as well. Some of you are taking breaks, some of you are participating, and either way, we're definitely welcoming you and your wonderful comments. So today's hot topic, it's on top of mind, everyone. We need to keep learning. We need to accelerate our learning, but also we need to figure out how to retain information, right? And how to apply it. So do you mind share a little bit of your perspective? What are you seeing? What is happening in your parts of the world, which is in Ireland, Europe, and with your clients when it comes to learning?
Well, Isabella, great to be here, first of all. And again, wishing all our Middle Eastern friends a great celebration over the next week. So my thoughts on the training, unfortunately, I'm not excited with what I see, Isabella. As we've said so many times before, there's a lot of tick box exercising that goes on when it comes to training. And then there's all this transactional training that takes away from the transformational training. And what do I mean by transactional? Well, a lot of the big organizations have to do a lot of compliance training, a lot of health and safety and security, data security, and all those things. And they can take up to an hour at a time. And the curriculum is always long. And at the end of the day, you just have to answer 12 questions, get 10 right. And what people do, it put them in the mindset of just flicking through all the training and just getting to the test. And what does that do, Isabella? It teaches bad behaviors when it comes to training. So unfortunately, the type of training that's going on, from what I see, is not good. And it's not building the strong behaviors and excitement for the transformational stuff, which is very disappointing.
Oh, goodness. I cannot agree more, but I'm glad that you are depicting transformational versus transactional and where organization needs to be. I'm glad for that great distinction. And now deep diving into transformational, with this, obviously, it's a huge opportunity, right? It's not just for us, but it is also opportunity here for others. And we're also having Deborah joining us here, and she has a great background in the leadership and information technology space, actually, and leading the teams and whatnot. And I'm sure she's recognizing, hey, Deborah, also a lot of issues that she's running into herself as Hajar and Mehmet, I'm sure, in their positions, in their roles with their companies. Catch-22, right? We need to do a million different things now that we're hopefully getting close to post-pandemic, but in the same time, how do we build capacity, internal capacity with the talent and those necessary new skill sets?
Yeah, and it's that's what. Yeah, that capacity is something I preach all the time. So I'm glad you pointed that out as well, Isabella. Like for me, it's all about improving capacity. But here's again the biggest problem I see. Everyone is too busy doing the do. They have no time to think about what they do. And like, just to give an example, I go into third parties all the time, and I want people to enjoy my environment, right? So part of what I do is like I improve capacity, right? I work on sales and operations and strategy. They're the three things I work on really. So I work in the sales team along with the operational team, because as I start building capacity, I'm going to be dropping new sales into it. That's the strategy I work with, right? So I would start off doing training with them. But here's the thing. The training, the first part of the training is actually focused on getting people to smile and laugh and enjoy the environment, right? That's the first thing. Second of all, then I don't tell them what to do. I get them to brainstorm. And then when we hit a few sweet spots, then I train some more on why those things they called out were really important. Because here's the thing, now I've got their attention. I'm picking stuff that they pick. So now they want to learn more. So I've created that pull environment for training. And then when we do the training, then they go and apply. They're excited to apply what they've learned, how to implement what the ideas that they came up with. Guess what? Things happen, you know. And here's the next thing, Isabella. When this cycle happens again, they want to do it, and it gets them out of their day to day. And that's the type of transformational training that companies need to consider. It's not just a once off. There's multiple stages to it. There's a journey of training that people need to consider. You can't just go in and teach leadership in a day and expect people to be amazing leaders. There's a journey to apply. Well, what struck a chord with you? What really resonated with you in that training? And then how do you bring those few nuggets forward that resonate with your personality to your audience, and how you're going to execute on that as well?
I love that passion. I love that conviction, and I cannot agree more, because obviously these are global. Everybody's in the same boat in terms of demands, right? Because everybody is scrambling right now, either figuring out either new additional technology, either adding more in terms of specific skill sets, because upscaling is so crucial right now, because everything is rapidly changing. And if we slow down a little bit, which some companies definitely did, and individuals, now it's quite a bit of catching up to do. And I love when you said it's not just one off and let's check the box, but it is continuation. So with that in mind, what we're seeing is the workforce skill set is obviously completely shifting right now. With that shift, demand is going. And right now what I'm seeing, and I'm curious to hear from you, because you're also working very heavily with executives, obviously, and decision makers. And you just, my friend, get a phenomenal award in Ireland and recognized in what again?
Well, I'm a master practitioner in business performance. That's what I've been accredited with. In fact, the organization association that I've been consistently like on my own in the elites, that they actually create a new title for me. So I'm very proud and humbled for that as well. So thank you, Isabella.
Absolutely. First of all, congratulations. And I love where your expertise lies in, because that you were working very closely with thought leadership. And as a thought leader yourself, you're driving their choices and decision makers strategically, as well as obviously practically, how they're going to now implement them after strategies being fine-tuned, right? So with that in mind, we're seeing tremendous shift, not only in the specific skill sets. We're seeing needs that some organization needs to correct their mindset, organizational setup. Obviously, these new jobs and new skill sets that they're requiring in certain roles, the C-suite and their challenges, and HR challenges, as well as the positioning for workforce overall success, right? And with that, traditionally, we see middle management and talent usually going through trainings, and then topper echelon would be learning bites and pieces, not in formal way. And right now, actually, it's more than ever demand for them as well. Would you agree with that?
Totally, Isabella. You know, to be honest, I think it's very chaotic at the moment in this world, you know, and we could hide behind this whole COVID pandemic that people have had to upskill and do things. No, this has been going on for a long time. I've seen too many situations where people who have been promoted that are not promotable, you know, and they haven't been trained or educated or upskilled to be in that promoted role. You know, they just assume, okay, this guy's been here, this lady's been here for so long, we've lost somebody, they're the only natural progressing here, so they are put in the spot. But there's this whole gap in, well, like, if you're going to put someone up to the next level, they need to become the next level and be the next level, you know. So what will it take to rise to that occasion? And unfortunately, I just see so many situations where this is not taken seriously enough, Isabella. And I've worked with many clients that and some people, I'll give an example. I worked with a distribution company here in Ireland, and the sales manager was promoted to general manager because the directors were backing off. And then they had a sales account manager who was an amazing account manager, was put in the sales manager's role. He actually didn't want the role, right? But he was pushed into it. And guess what? He was fired 3 months later because he wasn't meeting targets, right?
Wow.
And he was well above his targets as an account manager and I tried to intervene, but unfortunately I didn't have enough power in the situation. He was never trained to become a manager, right? He never had any skills to become a manager. Plus, I don't know why they wanted him become a manager, because he was their top sales account holder. Right? He was a great sales account manager, but not a sales manager. They're completely different skill sets, and they never trained them. There's a journey to learn the different skill sets. You know, he was really good with clients. He didn't understand managerial activities, and he was fired. And it wasn't his fault. Nothing that went wrong was his fault.
And that is unfortunate, and I love that you use that example as we're having Hajar here making great comment here by building a CAP and a community. Obviously, how it's important to build collective intelligence. And you spot on, Hajar. You cannot
Brilliant.
segment one parts of organization and expect that it's going to work. And the C-suite cannot anymore be excluded. And matter of fact, so much learning is missing there in specifics, which obviously we see issues why we don't have such a great decision making, why we don't have a critical thinking, and overall why we don't have a great opportunity to truly delegate, right? Because delegation and segmentation of work to others, it's very, very poor. So for example, we're also having our fellow colleague joining us. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Great to see you. Eid Mubarak to you and your family. I'm hoping you're enjoying great time and during this week, and you're doing well. Also, we're having connection and conversation from 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗲𝗿. 𝗗𝗶𝘀, great to see you from Croatia, my fellow Croatian joining us here as well in this conversation and discussion. Great to have you with us. Gentlemen and ladies, feel free to ask questions that you may have and any comments that you may have, because we're seeing also, oh my goodness, I almost missed you, Niloy. It's so great to have you too, and what do you doing and on the daily basis in your organization and how much value you bring. I want to make sure that everybody takes a chance to look at your profile, starting from Deborah, and connect with her as well. Hajar, this is the lady you definitely want to get to know. Niloy, a brother, great to see you. Absolutely great opportunity to get to know someone who is such a great and not only sharing phenomenal content, but definitely thought leadership.
Yes, he's a great mindset. I love his thinking.
Yes, and the comments that he shared as well. Ahmed, obviously. 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗲𝗿 will definitely catch up with you as well, our fellow Croatian, and also Zahra. Zahra is sharing some really, really thought-provoking comments and content. So everyone has a tremendous value, obviously, and they recognize this digital footprint, right? And we're talking about why we need to be digitalizing, why we need to be more visible, why we need to step up and share the thoughts and distill complex information, because learning is occurring 24/7. The question is where we go for that, right? Do we have that built in our organizations, or do we have to go externally? and who we are learning from. Is it matching the values of organization? Is it matching the mission and vision, right? Or is it just as an ad hoc based on crisis and pain points?
And see, just to what you said there, Isabella, there's so many variables, right? There's so many points where this can fall down, right? So this type of training needs to be taught strategically to be transformational, because you can't just put stuff into people's diaries. You can't just book someone that looks good or sounds good. You need to think strategically and build that journey, plan for what can go wrong and mitigate it. And they're so important to understand this, because companies they know they should do it, and they do it, and a lot of companies have this problem where they just think bottom line. Training costs money, it takes time, people are taken away from their day-to-day job, and then if you're getting external trainers in, or you're sending them out externally, there's a huge cost to that. They're very cost focused, Isabella. They're not thinking of the value of creating future leaders, because at the end of the day, they need to understand the purpose of why they're doing what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then when they build the purpose, then they can start thinking about what are the key strengths that this person in this role will need. Or if we want this person to become a future leader, what is the growth journey for this person that involves training, mentoring, coaching, all the different critical thinking, problem solving, leadership development, and then the application along a period of time. And not only that, Isabel, it can't be all push.
Yes.
To your point, it has to be pull. People have to want it and move forward. And that is a big KPI that nobody tracks in business when it comes to training, because, and it was good, like, without mentioning company names here, major player in my country, this was called out quite largely because there was a lot of people who were given the opportunity to do a certain type of training, and they were in a leadership role and they refused it.
Wow.
And guess what happened?
They think they know it all and they don't need it. It's not necessary for that. The arrogance that we are so much better.
Yeah. And it was quite a public story here. And because there was one of the people was suing for not getting the promotion they thought they deserved, and it came out that these are the reasons why.
Wow. This is excellent. I'm glad that also company was saying, okay, this is for your opportunity, but you are not tapping into what we're offering you to scale up, right? And level up overall as an individual contributor. And one of the things that we're seeing, as you mentioned, I love, Shay, that you are going there, is how much actually needs to happen training also with the C-suite and upper leadership, as well middle management and rest of the team and talent. What we're seeing here is huge war on the great skilled talent for retention, obviously, but also we know engagement and performance. And if you retain them, but they still don't perform, who cares if you don't create an environment that they can perform very well. Redeployment is huge right now because we're bringing people back. We want to reemploy them, or we also wanted to redeploy them from different departments, right? It's like you worked, as you mentioned in your example, of someone who was against their will promoted in area not supported and not frankly trained, and then they consider as they fail. It's unfortunate that they let go of someone that actually could be a great, tremendous asset in the department area where they were already there, or somewhere else possibly, if they knew that person's skill set and natural leadership style, right? But right now, when we're having hiring and contracts, we're seeing also people, even though they like to go into contracts, freaking out because some of the talent that I know, it's been on contracts for years. And guess what they're looking for? Companies that want to take them for full time with all the benefits and great appreciation, right? And then also we're seeing companies that are doing this dumbest ways of releasing people, meaning how do you tell someone that they're no longer are part of organization, right? With that in mind, if you want to share, I just wanted to share a little bit with our audience that you and I are very well aware of the statistics, but why transformational workplace and workplace learning is essential. Because if you don't have a transformational conscious driving culture for change and commitment for a long-term strategy. That's what transformation is, guys. Change can happen very rapid and quick, but transformation, it's conscious decision and occurs over a long period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. And it needs to be a lot of prerequisites there, right? So with that in mind, you cannot have a phenomenal workforce and organization culture, which so many companies I left, they're like, yeah, we're great at transformational culture and great transformational leadership. But I was like, what are you guys doing for learning? What did you attend last time training? What type of trainings are being offered? Is the transformational workplace in place? And right now what we're seeing is that even post the pandemic, we have a huge change where over the 94% have changed their leadership and development strategy or learning and development strategy. Because they're recognizing what pandemic did during the time when they let go of certain positions and how much vastly affected them. That is a huge number, right? We have over 59% thinking that their adaptation of digital learning is immature. That's almost 60% from the sample of the data that we're seeing here, because Corona brought a crisis, but actually I feel like just coronavirus opened a can of worms that we were just shoving down and we didn't want to address it. Wouldn't you agree with that, Shay?
Totally. But like, here's the thing, Isabella, right? Like, people have the ability to learn and learn fast when they need to, right?
Yeah.
It's like necessity is the mother of all inventions. If you think about all the people who went into the remote scenario a year and a half ago, and all these people that wouldn't be used to being visible on a camera, like it's like TV nearly, you know, they don't have these skills, or they don't think they do, but all of a sudden they had to learn them very, very quickly. No choice. So the reason I'm bringing that up, Isabella, people can learn if they want to. They need a motivation, you know, they need to. And I'm happy to hear that there's been a change in strategy, right? Now, I'd love to dig deeper into those statistics as well, because if you think about what's going on over the next, say, 18 months, right? Like the whole future of work, you know, how is it going to work? So there's going to be a new set of skills. There's going to be like, there's a lot of AI coming on board. There's virtual reality going to make its play into the business world. J&J were innovating this a long time ago to save on flights, global flights, you know, costs from all their businesses, you know. So there's going to be more learning, right? But here's the thing, like we talked about this before as well. The amount of automation through technology and AI that's happening at this moment, that people would think that this is going to replace people's jobs. No, it's not going to replace the job, but it's going to give these people time to focus on the value side of business. So businesses become more value adding. They're mitigating the amount of mundane, necessary administration they're doing through the value of people and giving it to automation. So there's going to be a huge amount of trainings required, and it's going to be absolutely transformational to make sure people can level up to the new way of working, because it's going to drastically change over the next few years.
Yes. I love how you are also echoing this and going deeper. And I just want to again say hello to our friends. We're friends joining us from Europe, from Middle East, Asia, and also our colleagues, great friends that are celebrating Eid Mubarak. And we want to say to all of our friends, colleagues, and partners, happy Eid Mubarak. And I hope you guys are having a good time with your friends and family. Ahmed, great to see you. I'm glad you could be able to join us. Dr. Mansouri, great to have you. Tarja, absolutely great to see you with us. I just want to make sure you guys take in a second also to check her profile and connect with her. She is a great leader and a lot of wonderful content that she creates, in addition to Zach and her diligent work that constantly provides tremendous value as a doctor, as a MD, and as a great human being, period. Also, our fellow colleague here that is there. We're also having another MD here with us. So it seems like we're attracting doctors today. We had also a doctor from Croatia, my fellow Croatian here. So my point is, we love you all, and it's absolutely great, including 𝗗𝗄𝗃. Please, gentlemen and ladies that are watching and listening, ask questions, but also go and check each other's profile and then really say hello, because this is where the magic happens. Great networking, great minds that think alike, that are curious, that continue to learn. And think about it. We have 5 doctors in this group alone right now at the moment. And doctors go through so much dedication and learning as it is. And yet they still crave and wanted to add more to their knowledge. And they sacrifice, because to be a doctor, it's not just that 4-year college, it's over 12 years dedication to specialize and be expert. And we are now throwing the towel and think we're experts over the night and we know it all, right? That is truly something to question. And specifically for younger generational leaders, or leaders that want to step up in their roles, we cannot stress how important it is to this ongoing learning and how important it is to demand that from your employers. Because interesting thing is, because we crave so much physical touch, right, and interaction, we're seeing such a high demand on the classroom group learning right now, and definitely that transformational, interactive, based on true examples that we see day to day, based on issues and pain points that we experience in our own environments. And isn't it that the best way to learn and best way to transform and see things from different points, not only from maybe, as you were using earlier, your pain points you experience with your clients in the distribution space, but you're looking from operation, you're looking also from finance, you're looking also from marketing. What are your thoughts on that, Shay?
Yeah, well, see, going back to what you said earlier, Isabella, like there's so much change going on at the moment. And I think companies need to build a foundation platform for training. I really do. And I'm not just talking about a tick the box exercise, right? And for me, like now, if you give me a green field, Isabella, to say, Shay, here's a company, train them how you think possible. Just build the training journey, right? I would start off, the first thing I would start off is not anything to do with training. I would start looking at, how are these people? Who are they? What are their strengths? How can I learn their strengths, Isabella? Because then when I know their strengths, then I look to see, how can I use those strengths for the good of the business? Because guess what happens then? People who usually have strengths is because they love doing these things. So if you combine what somebody loves doing to something good for the business, that's a win-win, right? So that's the first foundational thing I would do, is to find out all the strengths. And like, again, going back to, this is not something you should have to do as an exercise, because the managers should know this. It should be part of the management to understand, like, intimately everyone that works for them. They're not just about being their managers, it's about being their counselor and their friend. So these are things of information that should be available to someone if they came in to look at it. And then from there, Isabella, you look at your talent and you give them a growth strategy. If you want to hold on to them, you look at a growth strategy and a journey for this person. So it's a journey of training, learning, mentoring, coaching, doing, and repeat as the journey goes longer and longer. And I would create different journeys I would start off with a priority of the high achievers, high performers, the ones you really want to hold on to. And then this may sound not so Dr. Future State, but like, you really need to then siphon out the people you want to stay in your company and the people you don't want. If they don't fit the culture, if they don't want to learn, if they just want to stay and do what they do every day, that's not what companies need at this moment. As I said, automation is going to do all those things soon. So
Yes.
you need to build those individual training plans. And here's the thing, Isabel, it's not that hard. It is not that hard.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And you spot on. When you have the right mindset, I think a lot of organization needs to be reminded and have a right mindset and a level set, and then level up. In order to level up, you have to level set with everyone else and be on the same page. As you know, a lot of shit happen in cultures as well. And we're also having our great friend Vipin join us from India here, who is a maverick in his work. Helping people to find the great next best talent or next best opportunity. So definitely double check him. He has amazing work that he's doing. So great to have you with us, Vipin, and feel free to ask any questions as well, others that joined us already. But back to what you just shared, you spot on. If you don't have a learning mindset, doesn't matter how amazing organization is and what they offer will not help you, right? Certain things needs to be mandated, but like security and safety, like wellness, and then preventative of the risks, right? Because we have all-time risk high, and depending on industry, some regulations that are mandating that. So those things are not negotiable. But things that are supposed to be fun and exciting and exuberating and accelerating, not only your learning growth, but also teamwork, right? Because in the past, we wanted so badly the classroom environment. Right now, we want that human touch, but we're also adopted more as a result of the pandemic, so that we are actually creating also blended, where we have opportunity to learn virtually, learn in person, but also learn on our own, so we can be self-directed type of learning, right? Because not everybody learns the same pace, and some things you just want to get it done and move to the next module or to next level, or be able to complete because you've been already doing so much of that work, but you don't have supporting credential, or you don't have company recognizing that there's this mismatch between your job description and actually work you've been doing. I hear this so often, and I think that can be very, very frustrating for that skilled talent, wouldn't be?
Well, absolutely. But it's going back to what we were saying earlier. You need to create those individual journeys. And that journey will look different because people like to learn different ways. Isabella, the way I learn is very different than the way you learn. And I have a very specific mechanism for learning. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, Isabella, trust me. But like the whole point is I spent a long time figuring out a way I can learn and learn fast and retain, right? It works for me. Will it work for you? No, probably not. You know, there's a 95% chance it wouldn't, Isabella. But here's the thing. The point is you can create individual journeys, whether people like classroom learning, whether they like to do individual, if they like to do assessments and tests, or they want to do an external certificate, and they some people just love to be on their own when they learn. You know, I love to learn things, some things myself, Isabella. But here's the thing. I think I told you this story before I shared it. I was asked in a previous role many years ago to teach a subject to a client, do a day's workshop in a subject that I didn't know, right? And I said to my director at the time, look, I don't know this subject. And they said, well, we can't let this person down again. This company, we've already let them down. And there were genuine reasons. And it was a new client. So I was sort of pushed into it. And I didn't even get the slides till 12 o'clock the night before. So I ended up going into this day's workshop of 100 slides of a deck that I didn't really know anything about, right? But here's the thing, Isabella, right? Being the training, you can use certain things to your advantage that sound really good for the people who are learning, but it's also was protecting my knowledge or lack of, you know, because anytime I could talk around things, but I was using open discussions. And if there was a really difficult slide that I didn't know, I said, look, we're going to think about this for a while. We're going to have a group discussion, and then we're going to come to a conclusion on it. They were teaching me, Isabella. I came out of that course that day knowing lots about that subject that I didn't know before. And they had a great time because I leveraged some skills that I'm familiar with. But here's the thing. The point of me telling you that story, Isabella, like that forced me to learn. That's not a way I like to learn, right? Because it put me under stress. But the whole point, a little bit of stress is good. That environment could be simulated in a much softer way, right? If people want, because some people need to be stressed to learn, you know. But the point is, everybody needs to learn. It's the managers or the learning and development team to find out how somebody can learn. And then, is a classroom, is it teaching other people, is it socializing? But then there's the doing part. What are the combination that's right for an individual? It can't be just with a team of people. It has to be individual. And yes, there will be teamwork, but it has to, you have to think per person when you do this. There's no other way.
I love that. And I love example when you said being put out of comfort zone. So that, but then again, how much value that brought, not only for you individually, but from others to learn from you and your other expertise, right? And we need to be accepting to being comfortably comfortable. But one thing that really always makes me laugh, it's like common sense, right? But we don't dial that into. You cannot have a transformational culture and organization if you don't have a transformational leadership. And also, you cannot have a transformational learning concept and trainings, matter of fact, that now so many are demanding, if you don't have those two prerequisites, which is leadership and culture. That is on that transformational trajectory, which is that nimbleness, which is that, being uncomfortably comfortable. It is also that stepping in and modeling the way. What you just shared, it's modeling the way. You were like, okay, I don't have no idea, but I am embracing, I'm jumping in, and I'm just going to follow the process. And I'm admitting that I know everything, right? And that was great. And then you, as a result, encourage others. And as a result, you inspired others, and you created this inspiring, great vision of where you headed and what you're trying to accomplish with that. And then what happens is that magic that we enable others to participate, others to act, to be part of it, right? And when it's needed and what is needed to challenge the process. Do we still need certain things? What can we let go of? And how can we simplify, not make it more complicated? And those elements of that transformational leadership that I wish we can exude and see more exuded and exhibited in working environments, because it's not enough just that one person does that. It has to be that collective mindset.
Totally. Agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but totally. That's, I couldn't have said any better. It all comes from the top. There has to be that collective mindset and community when it comes, and it has to become a part of the culture of the organization, because the only way you can improve things is through learning, Isabella. You can't do it by knowing the status quo. And again, this brings you back to one of my biggest gripes with businesses, managers. I actually don't like the word manager. I really don't. If I ever have an opportunity to help companies think differently about how they give titles out, manager would not be on it, because the whole title says, I just manage what I need to manage. I don't try and lead something and make it better. And going back to your points, improve and create capacity, be smarter, do better things for the business. Because if you do a little bit better here and someone else does a little bit better there and over there, the accumulation of all that improvement is just colossal for a business, and they're missing out on that by not teaching people to think like this.
And thank you, Tarja. And she's joined us from Sweden, one of my favorite countries where I lived. So I cannot wait to visit, and hopefully we can get together, Tarja. But thank you for sharing that. And thank you for expanding upon further shape, because I love the concept of how the dots connect. And for those dots to connect, you have to really be able to see the bigger picture. You have to be visionary. You also have to be very strategic, which both of us have that really strong sense of, right? But even if you and I are seeing it, but we cannot disseminate it for clients to see, will not work, right? But also if they resist to see and resist to make a change, and you're right, the words is so powerful, even concept of management. It's a reason why management exists, and it's important to have some aspects of management within an organization. But knowing now what that 21st century or post-COVID 2021 and forward management skill sets are needed and required, or what that should look like, it's like who is leading and who is executing, who is doing visionary stuff and who is doing tactical stuff. And how these tactical things really do play out. And a lot of organizations don't have dialogue between their leadership team, meaning decision makers that have the power and they're considered leaders, but they may not have a leadership skill sets. And now they're management that are being given the task and list of things to do. And then now disseminating that information to others. And can be very dry, very challenging environment. A lot of people feel like right now they're constantly told versus engage in conversation. Versus heard, right? Versus identify collectively what that next thing would be. Wouldn't it be easier for us to know what we need to learn and where we're at if we have a great ways of openly, transparently communicating, recognizing where maybe our blind spot might be and where the opportunity is, and then go get it, right?
Totally, Isabella. Like, again, like I've been preaching those words to companies for a long, long time. And there's one example that I like to share with them. And there's a company called Atlassian in Australia, a software development company. And I'm not saying this works for everyone, but they just decided to do something different. They had a team of like software engineers, and they were too busy doing the do. And there was a lot of feedback that they don't have time to think. They're just doing the do. And if you think of a software engineer, they have to be quite creative because they have to get around problems, think of a code a different way to try and manipulate it to the best of their ability to solve a problem, right? That isn't just like technical, that's creative work. It's uber creative. So what this company did is they said to their one of their teams, to say, look, don't come in tomorrow. We want you all to go somewhere off-site as a team. No managers, no nothing. You as a team, you're going to go off and think about how you can do things better. So there was no intervention. They gave them accountability to go off and do something responsibly. And then the day after that, they had to come in and present it. And they were calling it the FedEx Day, like delivery overnight, right? That's what they literally coined it as. And
love it. Actually, it's very cute.
It is, you know, and it worked very well. Guess what? The team came in and presented ideas that saved the company an absolute fortune, right? Because they gave them that space to think, right? So they started doing this as a once-off, right? Then said, let's do this once a quarter. But again, the second quarter was so good, they said, let's do it once a month. And it actually turned out to be a once-a-week exercise. So they called it the 20% rule. They had this 20% rule in their business where their teams could go off and think about things, like how they could improve their colleagues, how they can improve their own operation, how they can get help from their colleagues to improve their own operations, how they can just collaborate. And then there were so many other amazing benefits to that. It creates an amazing team bond. It creates that collaborative and reciprocal mindset and people. And if you don't want people to leave your company, you create that bond, you know, where people want to help each other and they're coming into work for their colleagues, that camaraderie.
Exactly.
You know? Go on, yeah. And like, it's just about how do you take that to the next level with the right type of transformational training?
I just love that example because right now, sadly, Shay, we're seeing way too much toxic working environments and groups that is truly killing and creating suffocating environments, not even for that share exchange, let alone for learning and opportunity to learn from each other. We're also having a great colleague here that is joining us from Syria. Hi, 𝗟𝗲𝗿. I'm glad you were able to join us. I hope you're doing well. And given everything that is going on in Syria. So we're glad you could be with us today. And if you have any questions, please let us know as we're depicting here around the learning and what we can do to support one another. But I love, because a lot of times organization thing is, this is impossible for us. It will never work for us. And even where they're right, as they say, you believe you can or you can't, it's truly both true. And that is where I feel like that mindset, depending which direction is going and from who is coming from, specifically high up in the leadership food chain, definitely needs to shift. And I don't think it's any more room and appetite and tolerance for that. I don't see it from board of directors. I don't see it from other C-suite colleagues. And I feel like despite of the camaraderie or some history or great friendships, you also have to know when you have to change the players or seats at the table and offer and create that environment. But then when you do, magic happens. It's so exponentially worth it. It's not just the survival, it's thriving, it's recognition, it's modeling. And that's why I keep saying it's impossible to have a transformational culture if you don't have a transformational leadership. It's impossible that you don't have also transformational learning if you don't have a transformational types of trainings conducive to your people and adjusting them so that they can quickly learn in small bits with clarity, with relevance, with full transparency, and creating that optimal process for them.
Amazing. And that's exactly it, Isabella. When you get that sweet spot to what your people, like on an individual basis, want to learn, align that learning to a business value or output, like it's not rocket science. You will get the best out of the people. They will be loyal. They will give you all, because imagine, like, and I'll give an example, like even as a third party, I have to do a lot of psychometrics tests too, because that's part of the sort of HR onboarding cycle, right?
Yeah.
Especially for the multinationals. And I know my strengths. But when I did this psychometrics test, they said, yeah, they say you're a good proponent of strategy, risk, and all that. And they said there's opportunities to improve some of your sort of literature writing skills. And I go, well, like, yeah, I'm an engineer. I don't value that stuff. I just like bullet points. That's who I am, right? Mm-hmm. And then they said, we'll put you on a literature course. And I said, no, you won't. You just told me I was good at risk and strategy. Why won't you put me on them? And then I'll align that to my project and what I'm doing for your business. And it'll be the best damn risk and strategy project because you taught me the best risk and strategy way for your business. Yeah. But no, you want to put me on a literature course. I don't get it. And this, unfortunately, goes back to this tick box exercise thing, Isabella. They try to round people up. It's not about rounding them. It's about playing to their strengths and building that training journey. It's not a course, give them a course. It's a journey. If you want to hold on to talent, you teach them what they want that's aligned to the business and give them the journey career path with guidance that suits what they want in their skill sets.
And further, and not just to do that, but that is the talent that's going to bail you out. They're going to have your back. That's going to be
totally
real. That's going to truly come for you and help you out, like this pandemic proved for leaders that created that or adjusted their game very quickly, and they were there for them from genuine reasons. It's great then to see how far some commitment goes. And I remember some people volunteer to work extra hours. They filled extra positions because for multiple positions due to layoffs and trying to preserve the company. Some people step up and work very hard. And now it's time to also step up as an organization, as a leaders, and deliver on your promise, on your premise of what you ask them to do. Is that more money? Is there more flexibility? Is it promotion? Is it seniority? Is it whatever that might be looking in their environment? Because everybody's motivated and it's in different trajectory in different parts of their career path. And right now, everybody's soul searching. We've seen executives doing that. We've seen talent doing that. They're recognizing what's important. Like in Sweden, with 𝗏𝗏, we have amazing opportunity where Sweden is instituting a 4-day work week, right? And a great life and work balance, very great social norms of a minimum 5 or 8, I believe 8 weeks of vacation a year. And you wonder how companies are still profitable. But when people do, when they're rested, when they love to come, as you mentioned, when they're excited about their job, they don't think about phones and social media and hanging out and all of that. They go and make magic happen, and they do, and that multiplies because they developed over their skills, and it's not going to take them that long to make that happen. But what we're also seeing is companies, just because someone is expert and they could do something in less time, let's smother them with more stuff, let's burn them down. But they don't give that space. And I love what you said, to give the time to pause, reset, and think. We're seeing also executives being completely going, like Ali is going in electrical engineering and is doing online marketing. That's great, Ali, and I'm glad that you're in Turkey and that you're safe. So that also Turkey has a very different setup than what you probably experienced in Syria, right? Not before civil war, that's what I'm referencing to. But it's also how you pivoted. That is great too. We also have doctors here, at least 5 of them in this thread, in this conversation today, who are frontline workers, who also have to pivot so that they can be minimizing human error, so that they can be the best contributors to their team during one of the biggest crises in modern time. So those are the things that we have to shift from that brutal, unhealthy, damaging capitalistic mindset that even does not necessarily produce more, actually just perceives that is produced more, and it damages on long run because we think it's easy, people are easy to replace. That might be the case, but ultimately, look at the social media, digital footprint of those organizations. Look at the rating and review of those CEOs. Look at the rating and reviews of those human resource departments that are still running old models of how they manage and how they are dealing with the people from their whole cycle longevity within an organization. So right now, I hope whoever is also watching and listening from a leadership team, and I know that plenty are, maybe not commenting, but I know they're paying attention. We wanted to definitely make sure that you are also taking this to the heart, because it's no more time, right? There is no more time.
There's no more time, Isabella. And like, again, you hit the nail on the head with like what you said about what leaders need to change, because again, you know, like this whole capitalism, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great things about capitalism, but when it comes to certain things, they just got it so wrong. You know, they see training as a cost and they tick the box. They don't think any more of it, but they don't really understand or appreciate the value when it's done right, because it's not about, they want to see results tomorrow. But if you're growing your team, you forget that if you're investing in your team and you're being close to them, they're going to become more loyal. And then when they become more loyal, they're going to care more about your business journey. So they're going to help you more. There's a relationship. There's a lot more than money involved. In fact, 30% of someone's happiness in a job is only related to financial reward. The rest is an opportunity to bring them along your journey. And this is something where if you have that capital accounting mind, you've just lost that. You've just missed all that altogether.
So very, very true. And we're having also great friends here. 𝗗𝗲𝗄𝗃 is joining us from Costa Rica, I believe. So great to see you with us, Liga. So great to also see our Madonna joining us as well. Thank you so much. I'm glad that that you are finding this topic tremendously rewarding, as everybody else. And with that in mind, and you're right, and we're not saying that different systems or regimes are necessarily all bad. It's always, but if you go in such a extreme and detached for what matters the most, then you're going to suffer on long run. You're going to have this constant other hidden costs and also disruptions, because clients see that. If you're constantly having people plastering new bodies and new people managing their accounts, that tells a lot what is going on internally.
Totally, Isabella. Like, imagine you started motivating people to think about what they do on their job. You know, give them to reason to care, train them on process improvement, train them how to improve capacity. In 6 months, in a year's time, just think of the different operation you will have on that alone, you know? And then those people see, you know what, I'm actually adding value to this company. I feel important. And when people feel important, they'll do a hell of a lot more than the norm, or they'll go above and beyond. So there's a whole relationship aspect to this, again, which is a transformational part that we're talking about.
Yes, and also we have here, luckily, with us so many amazing transformational leaders. Check out what Liga is posting. She's doing something fantastic
Amazing stuff.
with another doctor, and questioning a lot of things around the critical thinking, actually, and some emotional
And
stuff.
the mindset, everything, great stuff.
Yeah, very great content, Liga. So keep doing what you're doing. Great. Madonna is doing the same thing, and then it's some really awesome stuff as well. Tarja, she has a great perspective in her own right with her own expertise, right? So make sure you check each other's profile. Anywhere that you listen and that we're highlighting here, also make sure you connect with them. They're amazing people, great contributors. We're having a lot of doctors here today, which again, they're lifelong learners with the right mindset, with a great approach, including our great colleagues that are celebrating Eid today. That's why we're having this smaller forum, but we have a chance to tackle this from strategy and leadership point, right? So I just wanted to say, everyone, again, so great to not only have you with us, but also to ask questions and partake in this kind of a very important conversation, because guess what? Things are not going to slow down, right, Shay? Things are going to just get more and more complicated, more and more complex. And with that in mind, everybody's not only job, but longevity, the life quality of life and health is going to be jeopardized, right? Because right now we're seeing so many people being overworked and having a lot of problems, right? So what do we do to make that happen? Or what do we do to make things feeling better, right? How do we put things in perspective? So I'm glad you're learning a lot from us as well, because we're learning so much from each other, don't we? So with everybody, again, being lifelong learners, kudos for all those great frontline workers, all those great doctors that joined today from different parts of the world. Kudos for all the work you do, and everybody that is moving the needle in the right direction. That is transformational leader, that is making transformation happening with their cultures, with their organizations, and as well this rippling effect that we're creating, right? Isn't it amazing? Because that rippling effect is what is going to shift and change the course for a lot of companies that they didn't even have no idea that they needed to do that, or they were not even ready yet. Here we go, we're here, right?
Totally, absolutely. And then the next thing is knowing where they got to, and then knowing where they need to get to, right? Or came from to get to, and what is the journey in doing, learning, and achieving? How can you combine them all, Isabella, into one sweet way of working?
Yes, and I love what Tara said, because obviously emotional intelligence and compassion is huge and much needed in every organization. And one thing that we're seeing that is lacking awareness, that also with emotional intelligence, we need to have a social intelligence, not anymore to recognize what's going on with us, but to know what's going on socially, what's going on in different parts of the world, with different teams, with different individuals that are diverse and different from us, so that we can, again, integrate and work effectively. And as a result, provide these amazing, innovative trainings. So guys, stay tuned, because we're doing some really hot stuff right now and pushing the envelope even further. And this is to be continued. But before I close, I want to once again highlight my great colleague Shay here that is with me. He is joining me not only from Ireland, one of my favorite countries in Europe, and also he is such a phenomenal thought leader who is being awarded consistently. And that this year, he just literally a few days ago got another tremendous award. So brag time, please repeat again. You got awarded in what?
Master Practitioner for Business Performance, and it's a title that they've developed in my honor. So I'm very humbled, because of that. I'm the only person that's got it credited with such high scores continually, that they created that for me. So I'm very humbled. Thank you, Isabella.
Wow, that is, again, continuously high score. What that means, guys, he is working on himself continuously too. He's staying on top of the game, and he is not missing the beat, because it's not just mastery that he mastered a few years ago and let's park and drive on those awards, but how do you drive those rewards and continue to be rewarded and awarded only way you can do that is by continuous learning and challenging yourself, right? So with that in mind, we're not only breed and eat that, we demonstrate, but I wanted to just again thank you for all of you lifelong learners being here with us today, and wishing you all fantastic rest of the week. And our fellow Muslim friends from all over the world, wish you happy Eid Mubarak, and look forward to catching up with all of you soon.
Great to see everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.